Hello YouTube, ZiggyNo back with another video. This one I want to discuss Patreon channels. It's funny, if I think back to 2020, I'm going to think about Topps 2020, Project 2020, and the artists and all the cards that the hype was around. But I'm also going to be thinking about Patreon channels. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did anybody in the hobby use Patreon channels before the artists? Because again, if I do a Google search on Patreon, what you're going to see is it says change the way art is valued, right? Like Patreon, I guess, was originally designed for artists, but it's now spreading across the hobby, and I want to get some feedback. So, first thing I want to say is that I personally, right now, think Patreon channels are bad. I'll say that. I don't understand the value. Now, to be fair, I haven't tried many. I've only tried one. So I'm putting this video together because I'd like to get from your feedback. A couple things. Have you used one? If you have, what's your experience? Good or bad? Do you like it? Do you continue to renew it? What value do you get out of it you feel you don't get out of just standard content? Other question, if you haven't used it, but you've thought about it, what questions would you like for me to find out if I were to try a few of these? So what my thoughts are, I'm going to go through some examples of Patreon channels and hobbyists, and then I'm going to probably select a few in the month of November and join them and see what value I get out of it. I figure if I'm going to throw a rock, I should at least understand what I'm throwing the rock at, right? Or maybe I get changed and think this is the next best thing in the world. Again, let's take a look at some of the Patreon channels that are out there now. Let me start with, and this isn't necessarily a Patreon channel, but KB Legends. And I guess this is where I kind of get a bad taste in my mouth. When I think of KB Legends, right, first of all, the guy is a gaming website that went into sports cards recently. And he promotes his website, which I'll show you right here, Sports Card Invest. He has a membership program, monthly membership of $9.99, yearly memberships, and so forth. If you listen to his videos, he'll brag that he has, I think, hundreds, if not thousands of people who are subscribing to that. And my question is, really? Really? Like, what value do you get out of this guy who, I don't mean this in the wrong way, Mr. KB Legends, but it doesn't seem like sports cards are really your focus, and you just kind of jumped on the bandwagon, and now you're kind of giving out hype. And again, without using your service, I feel like you're one of those providers that gives the content in the hobby kind of a bad name. But again, I haven't tried it, so I'm looking at it, and you're one of the cheaper ones, so maybe it's worth it to investigate and find out more. And again, this isn't even Patreon. This is just his own membership. So I have to say I commend him for doing that, right? He did build his own website. Next one I'll pull up is the High Upside. Now, again, I've been following the High Upside for a while, and I was saying in the beginning I really liked his videos, but I feel like now every video is basically a commercial for buying stuff that he's selling. I was looking at his website. I don't believe he uses Patreon. He uses a few other systems, right? Oh, I'm sorry. He does use Patreon. Here's one of the Patreon ones. Now, I think this is interesting. Some Patreon channels you can put, what the membership level is. He's got 0 of 100 remaining. So it kind of creates this hype that, man, you want to be in there. But it looks like there's only 3 people in the member-only round 2. So I'm just curious, again, what value do you get out of that? And I'm also curious how these guys put their numbers up there. I mean, does that get you to want to join this? Like, do you really feel like High Upside has got some information that's going to help you make money? And I'll tell you, another questions I always ask, but I don't ask these guys directly. I'm just thinking to myself is, if you're making so much money because you know so much about sports cards, why are you trying to make money off of me? Right? I mean, I kind of think about the guys in sports cards. If you're so successful, you should just be sharing information or don't share information. But if you're sharing information just so you can profit off of me, I kind of wonder about that. So again, this is, again, High Upside. I have not looked into this market cap method. I mean, to me, that's a little pricey. But again, the ratings seem pretty good, right? You got 4 ratings, all at 5.0. So I'm curious, who's using it? What are your thoughts? What do you like about it? And again, I'd like to do my own research. Another one up is Cardboard Chronicles. This guy, one of my favorites, because I think that the creator here does a very good job of marketing and selling at the same time. So again, if you look at his information, and again, everybody's allowed to do what they want. This guy's selling just as much as High Upside, right? I'll show you a couple of these. You got his, and I think this is great too. He's got his business partner here. Watch before you go any further. His business partner is giving him a recommendation, and we're rolling in this course now. So again, this is a course you can sign up for, right? And yes, it does cost money. I didn't look at the amount of money, but it does cost money. And then he's got this other course you can sign into, right? Here's the money collecting side and so forth. But again, there's a lot of this out there. And again, I'm curious. I mean, this provider right here, I mean, Cardboard Chronicles, this guy's part owner of Card Ladder. Um, are there a lot of Card Ladder subscribers that are getting value out of his how-to class, right? And I assume there probably are. In fact, maybe in the how-to class, you give them a free license to Card Ladder for a month, right? Might be a great promo. Um, I think these classes are kind of interesting. And I will say personally, this how-to collect kit, I'm not a fan of that. I think this person takes advantage of new people in the market. And that's why I'll talk a little bit later on about some free content providers. And that's why you'll see that all I try to do is put free content out there because I want people to find out for themselves that you don't have to pay some guy money to join his class to feel smart. Here's another provider that I actually been following recently. Really like his content, Vegas Finds, and he just recently launched a Patreon channel. And again, I haven't joined this. I'll be honest, this is probably one that I would like to join just to see what the value is and stuff like that. But again, I don't know. I mean, you got 8 of 8 here. He's got limitations on how many people can get them, which I think is interesting. We'll see how that does. And again, he puts out good content. I think one of the values these guys offer is that they're going to put the video out for you on the Patreon channel before they put it out to the public. But to me, I don't know. It kind of feels like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. One of the biggest promoters of making money off of the hobby, it's got to be PSA Collector. I don't have his website up here right now. I'll pull it up in a minute. But the man's selling merchandise. You can get it for $1. He'll say your name in a chat. He'll call you out or whatever. And then he's got a Patreon channel. And again, I would assume his is probably one of the larger ones. He has 1 of 20 remaining in the premium and 2 of 30 remaining in the elite. All right, so it's interesting to look into that. This is one I might look into because again, I don't want to criticize somebody unless I really know what they're putting out. Maybe the content here is phenomenal. Apparently, like I said, there's 19 people using the premium that are getting some value out of it. But again, like your thoughts. Les Alex is another provider I follow, like his content. He launched a Patreon channel shortly after spending time with PSA Collector. I haven't really followed this very much. Again, here's his Patreon channel. He doesn't share with you the number of members who are already in or not, but he has been promoting this. Not as much as he used to, but he definitely does promote it. And again, I'm wondering, this to me would be an easy one to kind of join, for a month, give him a few bucks. Again, I'll be honest, it's not about the money to me. It's more about the principle. And I think, I just wonder why. There's other ways to make money in this hobby, and part of that is in selling cards. Do you really need to make money off of your, viewers directly? I mean, I guess we're all trying to make money off of, monetizing your channels and stuff. Another one I want to bring up, start changing topics here, Hobbybox. So Hobbybox, interestingly enough, this guy had a Patreon channel. And I say that because this is the only Patreon channel I've joined so far. Actually, my son joined his Patreon channel in the summer, and to be honest, we just didn't find any value in it. At the time, there were only 4 Patreon members in it. The activity was slow, and he wasn't very responsive in putting out his content at the time. So it was pretty much a quick try, and we walked away, I think, with a few dollars. But I do think it's interesting. He's not doing it anymore. And I applaud you, Hobbybox. I applaud you. Maybe you saw that that's not the model to go. Let me also share with you what I refer to as some positive options in the sports card community, where you can get information which seems to be for free. Comeback Card Investor has a link right here, which should take you to his page on Have a Business Proposal. He'll help you out on a business proposal. Now, again, I haven't done this, but he's not asking for any money, but he's talking about business proposal you might have for sports cards, and he'll advise you on how to take that action. Then he's got a sports card newsletter he sends out. I've subscribed to this. It's free. Hey, I think that's pretty cool. I like this. Gives you a shout out. I mean, that to me is pretty cool. Am I missing something? Is he charging anything here? No, he gives some great content. Again, I applaud that. Card Hour, another great content provider, providing information in soccer. Here we go again. He has a wonderful newsletter, absolutely free. And again, I'll also point this out. He's not giving you picks. He's just educating you on the hobby. Great channel, great resource, highly recommend it. And it's easy for me to try these newsletters, right? I can sign up, can tell you the value, and I appreciate it. And I will say this, I do get a sense that people, what I think it is a lot of people put together a lot of work on the hobby, and they think to themselves, well, I can sell this work I'm putting on the hobby, and then they want to go out and monetize that. Card Hour's put together a lot of work, but he decides he's not going to sell it to you. He's giving it to you. He can monetize off his channel, off of subscribers, off of sponsors, off of commercials. Slabstocks is probably another one of my favorites when it comes to free information. These guys have been very big on free. Maybe it's because they're a younger community. But again, no Patreon channel, no memberships to sign up for, but they do have a wonderful newsletter and a channel. They're one of the most active Instagram groups I've seen. You get great content. They'll send you information on what they're buying and what they're not buying. So huge fan of the Slabstocks team. Next up, I'll even look at Pac-Man. Probably the #1 channel in the hobby as far as subscribers at 62,000. And he's not charging anybody for anything except for breaks, right? I want you to follow him. He's doing some gaming, right? But he's not asking you to pay money so he can rip cards and you pay for his cards he's ripping. So, again, when I think Patreon, I feel like it's nails on a chalkboard. In fact, I've had a few friends tell me, oh, I'm looking to open a Patreon channel. And you can ask them. My first thought is why? Like, what value are you really providing in a Patreon that you think the hobby needs? So, again, I'd love your feedback, your comments, your thoughts. As I said, probably in November, I'm going to join a few of these member groups. I'm going to do some reporting on what I'm seeing. I'll probably get kicked out of a few because I'll ask too many questions. But, we'll see how it is. And again, I'll be honest. If I find value in them, I'll be the first to tell you that. Again, if you've been a member, you have any comments, suggestions, questions, please leave those. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day. Stay safe. Stay healthy.